Are carbon credits legitimate, or are they just another scam? Hi, my name is Gurjeet Matharu,
And I'm Abdu, Radi.
and welcome to Sustainable Truth.
Think about carbon credits as a permit to emit carbon. It is based on the cap and trade, meaning that for every industry, you have a set amount of carbon per year to emit. If you go above that, you have to pay fine or buy credit to offset that. If you go below that, the difference could be sold.
Proponents of the carbon credit see this as a win. An open market where you can buy and sell carbon credits incentivizes companies to actually produce solutions in-house. And this is due to the fact that over time, the price of carbon credits is going to increase, and the number of permits also decreases year over year. At the beginning, it may be cheaper to purchase carbon credits on the open market, but over time, it will be much cheaper to produce clean alternatives in-house. Additionally, it helps out the consumer. It shows the consumer which companies are doing well with their carbon credits and which companies are not.
The problem with this system lies in the difficulty of applying it. First of all, how can you calculate the cap per industry? Then how can you price the credits? And how can you measure the amount of emissions per industry? But the major problem comes from the hydrocarbon companies that are contributed the most to the emission. Those companies find that paying a fine, going above their credit, or buying credit from another companies is much cheaper than changing their policies and adopting new, more sustainable technologies.
And corruption. There's a lot of corruption happening. For example, in Madagascar, there's a mining company that actually bought up land and claimed it as carbon credits. Meanwhile, they were cutting forests to make their mine. And this actually resulted in double counting. You see, the forest that they bought was already protected, and the locals there were now barred from using that natural resource, even though they may be wanting to cut a single tree to make a canoe.
A very bright example comes from California. They adopted the cap and trade initiative, and they managed to reduce their emission and meet their goals 4 years earlier than the deadlines in 2016, which means it's doable.
Overall, the cap and trade model seems to be successful, even with corruption and difficulties implementing it around the world. But it may be too early to say that this is a good program for the entire world to adopt. If you found any value in the video today, please like and subscribe. Comment below, tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, any other topics that you would like to see in the future. My name is Gurjeet Matharu,
And I'm Abdu, Radi.
and this is Sustainable Truth. You know, the thing that I was most surprised about was the difference between carbon credits and carbon offsetting. Did you know much about that before you looked into this?
No. I was completely confused actually between them because they look to be so close, but they're not the same.
And then the corruption that's happening. Do you think this is a good idea overall?
Well, in principle, me and you could make money by saving this tree right here.
Yeah.
And just like sell it as a carbon credit. This is exactly the point. The thing is that when I hear many things and I look into the corruption and everything, I started to be pessimistic. But then I look into California, I look into the European Union, and I see some really glimpse of light there.
Yeah.
Because the success story there, they look to be awesome.
I feel like all other industries except for the hydrocarbon industries are doing their part.
Yeah, hydrocarbon industry are pushing the problem forward.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're using the program in that way.
Exactly. So they're kind of dispersing the blame or the problem to everyone else while they continue doing what they're doing.
Exactly.
Is tailor-made to make sure that the hydrocarbon companies don't do what they need to do.
And they are less blamed for everything that's happening around them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the hydrocarbon companies lobbied for something like this.
Yep.
Right? It's very like hydrocarbon company friendly.
I can see footprints. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have a solution for that right now. Maybe scrutinize that particular industry more than others. You can't really price their carbon credits differently for an industry.
It's really difficult, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing is that their equipments are extremely expensive. And when we come and say, hey, this industry has to use sustainable, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
They are not a sustainable industry to begin with. Their product is not sustainable.
Exactly.
Their product based on keeping the need for unsustainable sources. which means in principle, if we come and tell them, hey, listen, we're going to make you pay carbon credits till you start to be more sustainable, this is not possible, meaning that you are shutting me off. That's what you are doing, because an oil company will continue to be oil company.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll just see this as a cost of doing business. It's just another cost.
Yeah.
Right? They'll just bump up profits by another percentage and you're good to go.
Exactly. This is going to be shown in their like yearly budget.
Yeah.
Something like, oh, this and this and this. Oh, tax credit, fine for tax credit, fine for killing.
Yeah.
This is exactly how it happens. And look at the tobacco company. They did it before.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, you know what? We just like have so many cases going on. But we found that just pay those people who press charges. Then after that, continue the industry.
There's a cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fear I have with the program. Some programs like this. The other thing is like double counting and the legitimacy of some of these projects. So a large corporation, things fall through the cracks, and others, they're there to be fraudulent, right?
Yeah.
And the projects, how do you measure them? How do you ensure that some of these projects that these companies are doing, say Disney or any of these other large Microsoft,
Yeah.
like there's been issues around the projects. And one of the things that came up as well is when you plant a tree, right? Are you planting the tree to increase the biodiversity? What's the the footprint that's happening there? The biome that's happening there, but more importantly, the issue at hand is forest fires.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So if I bought a carbon, I calculated a carbon offset, bought a tree, and then it went on fire. It goes double negative. You know what I mean? Because not only did I use it to offset my carbon, now it's turned into carbon. It's in the air. Not only did my offset not work, so that's a fake offset, I actually burnt it and put it in the air.
See, this is exactly why I hate, like, you know, big corporation when they start to take the law and start to find the flaws in the law.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what you're talking about right now.
Exactly.
Because simply just like, I'm definitely sure that there is a big lawyer was sitting with someone from a big corporation, like one of these hydrocarbon companies, and was explaining to him something similar to that. Oh, you know what? We just like go and pay the fine. How much is the fine? Blah, blah, blah. 10 years, even pay the fines. How much they will be costing? This much. But now the law did not say that you have to be like to have a tree. The tree in the backyard of your house is considered to be offsetting carbon. So let's use it as an, you know, a credit.
Exactly.
So
they're going to find the projects that just barely make the
100%,
requirements,
yeah.
right? Then you'll see programs in like Madagascar, the mining company out there, they basically bought land.
Yeah.
And this land had trees on it, and they were using that as a claim for carbon offset. And the issue here was twofold. One, it was already protected land by the government.
Mhm.
So it wasn't going to be cut down.
yeah, correct.
So, okay, so it's doubly protected now, I guess. And then the second issue was there was a community, a local community around there. And this local community actually used the trees in a sustainable fashion. They would cut them down, turn them into canoes, right? And this is a very poor community. They don't have ships. They don't have oil tankers, and they're literally using the environment around them
Correct.
in a sustainable way, cut them, and they're fishing. So now that becomes a criminal act. They can't do that. And it's causing them tons of heartache. So that's one thing to decide. But you know what this company was? It was a mining company.
Yeah.
And they were chopping down trees on the shoreline
Oh.
and causing a lot of issues, harming the environment, and claiming that, oh, it's all good because we have a carbon credit project that's purchasing trees.
Yeah, dude, literally speaking, some of these like big billionaires, when they hear about something like, oh, carbon credit, you know what they started to do? It's like, you know, I have a golf course. It has trees. I'm not cutting them. Done. I'm offsetting carbon.
Yeah.
But you're not going to cut them to begin with.
Yeah,
It's like,
I know. It's such a...
it's just great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing.
Or does anyone even check on these projects? Like, I'm going to plant 10 trees. I'll go buy 10 trees from wherever,
Correct.
plant them, and let them die after a year. But I sold them as carbon credits. Now what?
Yeah.
Right? So there's lots of issues around it. But
And-
maybe I'm being a little too harsh and skeptical. right?
No, 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 no. Because honestly, like I'm telling you, we are used since the beginning of like finance on Earth, like not in a country on Earth, that businessmen slash big corporation all the time they're trying to manipulate the system. And the best way to do it right now is trying to get away from their obligation for saving the Earth.
Yeah.
And this is so bad. This is really bad because not only they're getting away from everything, they're just like trying to make everything turn against the poor people. The way that happened in Madagascar. Something like, oh, you know what, I want to save the planet, do my due diligence for our, planet. But at the same time, I'm just like making the poor become poorer than that.
Yeah, they're pushing it onto
That's
the
too
lower
much.
class,
That's really
like
too much.
others, right? Other industries. Yeah.
Exactly. And look at the airliner in England.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the CEOs was like saving a small park somewhere like in England. And that's exactly his way of offsetting carbon.
Yeah.
What's going on there? This is like someone has to tell those people that we're not idiots. We know exactly when they're like offsetting or not offsetting. Maybe, what's the problem? The problem is that they know that we are extremely smart, but we can't do anything about it.
They're just going to continue because legally they're fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Legally, they have like those big fancy lawyers and they're just like solving every single problem that comes to them by only reading the laws. They're very good in reading laws and finding flaws there. When we come and say that, hey, dude, the idea is the big picture. Oh, we don't believe in the big picture. Just show me the law. So this is exactly how we need to be very smart in dealing with those people. This program looks to be fantastic and amazing, but it should not have so many flaws, number one. And number two, is it applicable for the biggest players for the carbon game?
That's the issue. And that's what remains to be seen.
True.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We're Sustainable Truth. My name is Gurjeet Matharu.
My name is Abdu Radi.
And see you next time.
Thank you.